When dealing with our daily emotions that we all face, there can be positive outcomes we control. Is living abundantly really possible for all of us, no matter where we find ourselves today? Absolutely, unequivocally, yes is the answer. Now, here is the host of The Long Bearded Guy, the Chief Catalyst, Strategist Guide at Jewel International, Gordon D Melville.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Long Bearded Guy, Gordon D Melville on Inspired Choices Network. Welcome to Red Fridays, Red, R-E-D, Remember Everyone Deployed. And that'll come into play today with our episode because we're talking about men's mental awareness. Warriors needed, apply here. Men's mental awareness, warriors needed, apply here. Welcome to the show. I have my special mug. Thank you so much to my special friend that gave me that mug for Christmas. And I have it full with something called Immune Plus. It's peppermint and ginger tea with zinc and vitamin D instead of coffee. So I have my stuff ready. Do you have your journal ready? If you don't have your journal, go get your journal. You're going to need something to write stuff down with. I've got a lot of information today. It's going to be an interesting show. It's going to be a little more intense than some of them have been. The topic is a little more tense, but I think it's appropriate and I think it's timely and I think it needs to be talked about. So we're going to talk about it today. So, and as you know, I'm on a mission to positively change the lives of 10 million men in a positive way by increasing their EQ, by increasing their emotional intelligence, their emotional quotient. And if you'll help me, I'm looking for people to partner with me to help get the message out in a multitude of different ways. So if this message connects with you or you know people that need to hear this message, please, for the love of Pete, share the message, invite them to hear because it's very, very, very important. So just so you know who you're listening to, like I said, the Long Bearded Guy, but I'm the founder of Jewel International, which is a high performance coaching, one-on-one mentorship, public speaking, authored books, and all those types of things from that entity. And 30 years of Energizer Bunny, 30 years of personal development at a really, really high level, and been mentored by some of the biggest names in thought leader type people, the John Maxwell's and the Grant Cardones and the Zig Ziglars and the Les Browns and all those type of people. And if you don't know who those people are, Jim Rohn, if you don't know who they are, go find them because they will make a monster impact in a positive way to your life if you connect with them. So I'm excited to have you find me on Apple TV, Google TV, and on any place you would watch, Roku, Amazon Fire, like anywhere that you would watch, iHeartRadio, anywhere that you're going to watch, Spotify, any place that you watch or listen to your podcasts and whatnot, you'll find me on there with my happy beard. And not just that, if you go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.tv, you can watch all of my episodes. You can also watch all the episodes of the people that other hosts that are on the network, and there's some amazing hosts on this network. So go find them. Thank you so much for being here. By the way, like, love, share, and subscribe. It's a free download for the free app for Inspired Choices Network. Anywhere, like I said, anywhere you would pull that stuff off. And please do that. Like, love, share, and subscribe because that helps the algorithms and it helps pay for the show. So we want to thank you for that. For those of you that get in and do that, thank you so much. Get in the chat if you happen to be here live. And I know I've got a bunch of people watching that are listening from work and they can't maybe get into the chat, but I know they're listening. So welcome to all of you. I know there's some people on the road and there's some people at work today. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you spending some of your limited resource time. Is a limited resource we all have, finite resource. And so you're spending some of that with me today. And I really, really appreciate that. So let's get into this because it's really deep and there's a lot of very important stuff here. Men's mental awareness, warriors needed, apply here. And I set this topic and this program, this episode up a while ago. And I find it very interesting that the timeliness. So I get a lot of emails from people and messages from people, and where friends or family or colleagues or people around them have talked about somebody that's been trying to give their soul back to Papa, and some of them succeed and some of them did not succeed, but this particular week, there's been a bunch, and I like a bunch. And I was like, wow, you know what? Really timely that we talk about this again. And so, or we talk about it. We've talked about it a few times, but I want to talk about it in a little more depth today. So, in this first little piece, what's the big deal? Men's mental awareness. Why is it such a big deal? I want to give you a couple of stats that are few stats that were shocking to me when I found out. And as I dug into this topic this week and prepped for this, there's some really staggering numbers and statistics. So what we're talking about is, if you haven't picked that up yet, is suicide. So as a suicide survivor myself, I have an interesting perspective that is a unique perspective. And again, I think life's not happening to me, it's happening for me, which we've all heard, but I think it's happening for me to specifically and uniquely equip me to help other people get through what I went through. And so it's helpful to understand the perspective. And for me to get, I think of that now, I look at that through a lens. I choose to look at that experience through a lens that says, Papa was gifting me experience and perspective I needed to be able to get my mission done. And so a couple of statistics that are just shocking to me. 12% of men have think about or contemplate suicide at some point in their life. Approximately 12 men die every day. 12 a day. In the US, 22 veterans, when we talk about Red Fridays, 22 veterans per day in the US succeed at giving their soul back to Papa. We talk, is it a big deal? It's a big freaking deal. Is it important? It's absolutely critical that we talk about this, because in my preamble, I talked about how many men are we willing to sacrifice before we start to go, look, we got to get our heads out of our butts and make it okay. Stop judging people for having mental awareness challenge, because as long as we hold on to that as a society, and there's judgment, and people talk about stigma, that's a BS word. It really is. Stigma is just being judgmental. And I'm going to get a little passionate today because this is very near and dear to my heart. And I hope you hear my heart today. I really do. But how many people or how many men, how many people in general are we going to allow to do this? My avatar is pro athletes and entrepreneurial men. But how many people total? This was weird to me. 3 to 4 times as many men to women commit suicide. 3 to 4 times. Interesting thing though. Depression affects women 2 times, so about 10.4%. Depression affects women at 2 times men, so men are at 5.5. But men are 4 times the deaths of women. So part of me goes, the thought runs through my brain: who's the stronger sex? Men will give up. Men will let go. Men, and part of that is because 2/3 of men's depression goes undiagnosed, primarily because we don't reach out, because there's shame and embarrassment, and there's judgment that's coming, quite frankly, and so we don't reach out. We don't talk to anybody. We want to gut it out. Oh, I got to cowboy up and make it. No. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in youth and young adults from 15 to 34. The number 2 cause of death. Why is it important? What's the big deal? The big deal is we're sacrificing our young men and our people over and over and over and over, and we just don't do anything about it. And that's partly because we're holding that emotion, that dis-ease. As men, we were taught not to show that emotion. Don't show it. Don't look weak. Don't cry. And we hold it in our bodies, and it makes us sick, and it causes us challenges. We need to find ways, and we need to choose to find ways to make it work for society, and each individual person. Before COVID in 2019, 4,012, we're in Canada, right? I'm in Canada. So 4,012 total suicides in Canada in 2019. 4,012. 3,058 of those were men. And the statistics are just slowly coming in for the last few years because it takes time to accumulate that information. But from all indicators, it's skyrocketed since COVID. And during COVID and after, skyrocketed. This is epidemic. We've got to get a handle and make it okay for people not to be okay. We need our men to understand it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. I'm going to say that again. It's okay not to be okay. We need our men to know it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. We need to be able to get help. We need to be able to ask for help. Yeah, men are the less likely to be diagnosed because we just don't let it out, because we don't want the shame and embarrassment of that. So we just don't tell anybody. It's not that it's not there. It's that we just don't admit it to ourselves. We don't share that with anybody. We don't go to find help. When I was in that situation, part of it was I couldn't do that. I couldn't go and get help because I didn't feel I could. I couldn't out myself and still maintain my job and my career and all the different things I had going on. But even if I had, I wouldn't have known where to go to get the help, because it's not as well known. Some I came across pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of resources that from all over the world that can help, but they're not all over the place. I have to search for it, and that was one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons. And yeah, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. And I want to make that second half. It's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay in that spot. We need to be able to let it out. We need to be able to share. We need the tools it takes, tools and strategies, and then we have to choose to use those tools and strategies. We have to choose to equip ourselves. And I'm going to talk about that over and over and over and over and over today. We need to equip ourselves to be able to deal with it ourselves, but then to be able to help other people. We need to be able to do that for each other. We need to be there for each other. I need to do a quick shout out before we take a quick break. Jose Escobar is the founder and CEO of the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf. Check out the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf to learn more about his morning and evening mastery routine program that's changing people's lives. And it really, truly is. The program will help you install systems in the bookends of your day to maximize your morning and evening routine. Set up your free strategy session today with Jose Escobar. It's an incredible program. You want to go do that. That will help with mental awareness. That will help set the morning and the evening of your day. Very powerful program. As we go to break, don't forget to pause and breathe. Pause and breathe. It'll help ground, and it'll help us. It's like sorbet between courses. It'll cleanse the palate, but it'll also give us a chance to ground. Pause and breathe. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're with the long-bearded guy, Gordon D Melville, on Inspired Choices Network. See you in a minute.
How much of our daily success relies on our mindset? anything we are unaware of can still impact our lives. When dealing with our daily emotions that we all face, there can be positive outcomes we control. Why is the word stigma such a BS misnomer? Is living abundantly really possible for all of us, no matter where we find ourselves today? Join the long-bearded guy, Gordon D Melville. The Chief Catalyst Strategist Guide at Jewel International invites you to an enlightening, sometimes shocking discussion. He will be challenging you to explore your own answers to these questions and so many more. This will lead you towards living an abundant, successful life no matter how you define it. Gordon D. Melville is live Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Long-Bearded Guy with Gordon D. Melville. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to the longbeardedguy@gmail.com. Now back to the program.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here with the long-bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville on Inspired Choices Network. And today we're talking about men's mental awareness warriors needed. Apply here. And what we're trying to do is equip us but awareness is the first part of that. We need to be aware. Once we're aware, it makes it easier. Well, at that point, once we're aware, we can move forward with things. If we're not aware, we can't change something we're not aware of. Right? We can't fix something we're not aware of. So in the first segment, we talked about what's the big deal. So we talked statistics about why it's such a big deal, what's going on, and that it's a widespread global challenge that needs to be rectified. It really needs to be helped. So what are factors that increase the risk of mental awareness conditions or of the risk for suicide in terms of men? And it's a lot of these are the same men to women, but some of these are the most prevalent ones. I want to give again some statistics to you in terms of some information. What are factors, and give you a heads up, right? Awareness. What are factors that increase the risk? And it doesn't mean that everybody that has any of these things is suicidal. That's not what I mean. But the more of these that happen in a person's life, to be aware. If we have people around us, we're in that situation and we know we need help, we need to go get help. Because whether we realize it or not, emotionally, and emotional intelligence is almost a misnomer because it's not really intelligence. It's a way of skills and ways of dealing with other humans. Not really intelligence, but we refer to it that way to make it easier and more streamlined. But awareness. I find it interesting that the highest group of men in particular, the highest group, the bulk of them that are at risk, and I was shocked. Older white men, I was like, what? 85 years and up are the most at risk, the highest demographic die by suicide. More of them die by suicide every year than any other group by age, sex, or race. Older white men. Wow. Everybody's like, whoa, white privilege. And yeah, men, you know what? It may have its privileges, but you know what? More of them commit. So it's not all what it's hang up to be, right? It's not all what it's cracked up to be. It's not. There's some real struggles, and we need to be there for people. We need to make sure we're there for people. What increases risk? Men who've experienced trauma. So combat vets, people that have PTSD, whether it's because of their job. So first responders, lots of times will have PTSD. Some of them do because of things they have to deal with day to day to day. But PTSD assault victims, whether it was in the childhood, whether it was sexual or physical or mental abuse, those assault victims, they're at a higher risk because it's hard to deal with. Again, for the same reason, people don't open up about the fact that they've been, and certainly not guys, most of them don't open up and say, hey, you know what, I was sexually abused as a child. This happened, that we don't open up about that stuff. So men who've experienced trauma are at a higher risk. Men who experience employment issues, because a lot of times we get our identity from what we do. We really shouldn't, but we do. We get our identity from what we do. So if we have employment issues, all of a sudden we don't know who we are. If we're unemployed, we don't know who we are. What's my identity? And so that increases the risk. Marital breakdown. We've lots of people around. The divorce rate's at 50%. On the first marriage, it goes up on the second, up on the third, up on the fourth. It's just bizarre. But marital breakdown or relational breakdown causes depression. And again, because we don't want to open up, because we play it right close to the vest and we don't say anything, it gets worse. So we're at a higher rate. And if you have multiples of these, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And again, it's not that everybody's going to do that, but the contemplation of that, I think a lot of people, most people, probably 80% of the population has at some point had at least a thought go through their head. They may not have entertained it for very long. They probably didn't do anything about it, but we've all had those really low depression points where we go, whoa, woe is me and my life sucks. Men who've had legal or financial concerns. So if you're bankrupt or you're trying to look after stuff and you just can't, or you get buried or you're underwater and you're just struggling and struggling and struggling. You can only tread water for so long, and then it gets really hard. Men who abuse or misuse alcohol or drugs. So again, it's a coping mechanism. A lot of times it's a coping mechanism. Even the addiction is a coping mechanism to dull our pain. But men who misuse drugs and alcohol are at a higher risk for suicide. Men with family history of mental health challenges, bipolar and schizophrenia and PTSD and those types of things in a family tree will make them increased risk of heading in that direction as an option, because they'll see it as an option. It shouldn't be, but it's viewed that way. Men that deal with other life challenges. So people like myself with health challenges, with health problems. I have no problem understanding with the pain I've been in for 5.5 years. I have no problem understanding why people will commit suicide to get away from the pain, because they can't. I have to make it stop. I have to make it stop. I can't get away from it. I can't get away from it. And they choose that as the option because that's the only way they see to get out. But health problems, conflicts with family and friends, illness or a death of a family member that they were really close to, and they go into a depression. And then because they're in that depression, a lot of times if it's not fixed or they don't get help or somebody around them doesn't reach out. And sometimes I've run into situations where people go, you know what? I don't want to have that conversation. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward. I've had people say to me, do not call 911 for me. And I'm like, you know what? If I think that's necessary in the situation, you can be mad at me all you want, but I prefer you to be mad at me and alive than have to do eulogy at your funeral, because that's even harder. That's not helpful in any. I'll have the hard conversation. We need to be able to have the hard conversation. Hey, are you okay? Are you not okay? What's going on in your life? Are you all right? And it's not just, and we'll talk about that in another piece, but sometimes we sign it off and go, hey, we take the easy way out. I'm going to send them a quick email or a quick text. We need to be able to pick up the phone. We've lost the ability to pick up the phone. My kids, when I call them, they're like, why are you calling me? Just send me a text, Dad. I'm like, what? People of my ilk don't understand that. We're like, what? So depression, there's some hidden signs, and I want to give you a couple. Again, it's awareness. It's understanding what to look for, what to pay attention to. And again, one piece on its own may or may not be a key, but several of those together could be a key. And if we see it, to be able to have that conversation with somebody and go, hey, you know what? I see you're not sleeping well, or you're sleeping a lot. Are you okay? parents talking to your kids. And we've got teenagers, so they spend a lot of time in their room sleeping. And that's wonderful. That's a teenage thing. I get that. But the lack of sleep or extra sleep that they're not used to, that could be a sign. So we ask the questions. We ask the questions, and then we sit and listen to the answers without judgment and make sure that they feel safe in this space. Extra sleep, appetite or weight swings, appetite swings. So they eat a lot or don't eat anymore. Their weight skyrockets or drops without any kind of cause or reason. That's obvious. Challenge with alcohol or drugs. They start to drink more, or they do drugs. They've never done drugs before, and all of a sudden they're doing drugs. Can be a trigger. That can be something that sticks out as a red flag. Hey, pay attention. Pay attention. Follow they may not be able to open their mouths, but people that are around them that care about them and love them that are paying attention can catch some of those things. Negative self-talk, always talking in a negative way to themselves, right? Oh, I'm nothing. I'm useless. I'm no good. I don't have any skill. I don't have any talent. I don't have any. I'm just useless. We all have, once in a while, we have those kind of, when we get struggling or whatnot, sometimes we'll go through that. But if it's an ongoing thing that's persistent, that could be a challenge. Fatigue, that's not normal, right? It's being really, really tired. That's again not necessarily a normal thing. Pessimism goes back to the negative self-talk. Forced happiness, you can tell they're just sort of putting it on, right? People that they laugh, or you can tell that smile is not real. That laugh was not real. It's not coming from deep inside them. It's something on the surface. And like I said, some of these are for both sides, but some of these, and the ones I'm talking about just right here, are what they refer to as hidden signs. So things that could or may not be, right? That may not be signs, but they can be. So to pay attention, be aware of what's going on around you. Loss of concentration, can't concentrate. Disinterest, anger or irritability, where they're not used to being like that, but the littlest thing, they got a hair trigger on their anger or their frustration. Health complaints that are out of the ordinary, that haven't been there before, that aren't always there. Sex drive in either direction, the lack of, because it's a healthy sex drive, all of a sudden it goes away, or it's an increased sex drive because they're trying to get that frustration out and trying to find a way to let it out. In either direction. Avoiding family or social situations. Sorry, first time with a new tongue. But avoiding family or social, they don't go out and party anymore. They don't go out and see their friends. They don't go out and interact with people. That should be a red flag goes up. There should be a conversation. Hey, why? How come? Are you okay? Is everything all right? Can I help you somehow? I'm here to listen. Controlling or abusive behavior in a relationship, engaging in risk-taking behavior, gambling, unsafe sex, that's out of the ordinary, stuff that would scare the hell out of most people. For people like myself, I've jumped out of a perfectly good plane 288 times. That was going to land anyway. But so me skydiving would not be out of the ordinary. For me, that wouldn't be a sign for me. That wouldn't be a red flag for me because I do it all the time. Well, I did do it all the time. I'd like to do it all the time again. Struggling to keep up with family and work responsibilities, obsessively working with no self-care, lashing out, self-destructive behavior, loss of interest in hobbies and passions, less motivated at work, sexual performance if interested at all. I mean, there's a whole whack of these things. And those are just the ones they talk about that are less common. And again, men to women, all of the same concepts. But these specifically, I was looking for what are red flags that could be important. Like I said, I prefer to have a tough talk than have to go to a funeral. I prefer to have an awkward conversation where they understand Gord gives a shit about me. Gordon cares whether or not I'm here. Genuinely cares. We need to be able to do that for each other. But we have to know how, and we have to give a shit. We actually genuinely have to do that. If we don't care, no big deal. We're losing our men. We're losing people, tragically losing people. And it's tragic because it could be prevented. It can be helped. My mission, increasing men's EQ, IQ, or EQ and EI, their emotional quotient, their emotional intelligence. Because as soon as it goes up, they have the tools and strategies they need to be able to deal with the emotion they feel every day in a positive way. They understand how to make that work, which also it translates into being able to see it and help other people. If I can do it, then I can teach someone else to do it. If I can do it, then I'm aware, watching somebody else, seeing it with somebody else, right? I recognize it in somebody else. Need to take another quick break. I hope you're feeling my heart, because it's come up over and over and over and over this week, and I'm like, you know what? It's got to stop. It's got to stop. We've got to do something about this. The shout out again is Jose Escobar, founder and CEO at Entrepreneurs Bookshelf. Check out the Connected Leaders Academy membership to take your business to the next level. This is the perfect tribe to learn, grow, and connect like never before. The Connected Leaders Academy tribe brings together some of the highest level entrepreneurs from all over the world. Set up a virtual coffee with Jose Escobar today, and you can reach him, by the way, I didn't mention that before, you can reach him at theentrepreneursbookshelf.com. That's theentrepreneursbookshelf.com. And it's Jose Escobar. That Leaders Academy, if you're an entrepreneur, there's 3 stipulations, 3 qualifications. You have to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a history of success, and your ego has to fit in a room. So if you qualify, reach out to Jose Escobar, reach out to me, I can connect you to Jose. We're going to a quick break here. Don't forget to pause and breathe. I'm going to have some more peppermint and ginger with zinc and vitamin D tea, and I'm going to pause and breathe too. So don't go anywhere. You're with the long-bearded guy, Gordon D Melville, on Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
How much of our daily success relies on our mindset? Anything we are unaware of can still impact our lives. When dealing with our daily emotions that we all face, there can be positive outcomes we control. Why is the word stigma such a BS misnomer? Is living abundantly really possible for all of us, no matter where we find ourselves today? Join the long-bearded guy, Gordon D Melville. The Chief Catalyst Strategist Guide at Jewel International invites you to an enlightening, sometimes shocking discussion. He will be challenging you to explore your own answers to these questions and so many more. This will lead you towards living an abundant, successful life no matter how you define it. Gordon D. Melville is live Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
The Connected Leaders Academy is the #1 fastest growing networking community for entrepreneurs. CLA assembles high-level leaders, titans of industry, and business owners under one roof. If you're an entrepreneur looking to grow personally, professionally, scale your influence, develop skills, and expand your network exponentially, the CLA is where you need to be. Want on to more podcasts and shows, speak on more stages, sell more books, products, and services, get more leads, referrals, acquire new clients, develop lifelong friendships, and more. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. Contact Jose Escobar on Facebook or check out www.claglobalsummit.com for more information.
This is the Long-Bearded Guy with Gordon D. Melville. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to thelongbeardedguy@gmail.com. Now back to the program.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're talking about men's mental awareness warriors needed. Apply here. We need men's mental awareness warriors. We need them. And not just men, we need a whack of men. Trust me, we need a bunch of men. But we also need the women in our lives to be able to know and see and read, because a lot of times we're not as well equipped. Sometimes men will not reach out. So our women being able to read us and be able to have the conversations and ask the questions and direct us into a space or suggest things or help us understand, because a lot of times we want it to be our idea. right? We want it to be our idea. And so, asking questions that can lead us and having the skills to do that. And I've got some programs. I'm going to talk about that at the end of this segment, but I've got programs that can equip you. So there's two different types of program. Both are group. I can do one-on-one as well, but both are group programs that can indoctrinate and educate and make aware. Hey, here's some things we can do that so that we're aware of why. What could those triggers be, and what am I looking for, first of all, and then secondly, how do I talk to somebody so that it makes them feel safe, makes them understand I don't. And you can't make anybody, right? But you're leading them to a space that they know it's a safe zone, no judgment. And then they'll open up. So I don't want this to be, it's been intense and it's been heavy and there's a lot of negative right there. I don't want to leave it in that negative. I want to put some positive spin on it, or at least give us some hope and give us some remedies. So we're going to talk remedies and actions we can take to stem the tide. What are types of things we can do, whether we're men or women, that can help the men and women around us. One is maintain a strong social connection by prioritizing friendships, participating in peer groups, and support programs. So maintaining strong social connections. I'm not talking about social media, because a lot of times social media brings us together globally, but separates us locally. Right. I was talking this morning with the US. I was talking last night with Italy. I've talked to South Africa in the last 24 hours. Globally, it brings us together. That would never have happened without the technology. But a lot of times we don't know our neighbors. We don't reach out to the people in the town or the city we live in. So it's about the connection. It's about relationships. And I want to talk. We need to understand, we need the relationships, and COVID just made it worse. The polarization and politicization of so much around us that's never been politicized before. And we're polarized. It's either left or right, and there's nothing in between anymore. And we've lost our ability to adult, right? The whole ability to agree, to disagree, and continue to be friends. Where are relationships? Who are the people you're closest to? COVID just made it worse because it isolated everybody. And now we're struggling to get our feet back underneath us in terms of being able to, how do I talk to people? How do I reach out to people? Everybody, I can talk to anybody anytime. No big deal, right? I'm an extroverted type human in those types of situations, in that kind of a sense. I'll talk to everybody anytime. You can talk to me anytime. There's lots of people that are not like that. There's lots of people that are not like that. And when they're not like that, it gets worse. And even people like myself that can't, during COVID, we couldn't talk face to face, belly to belly. We couldn't. So then we get frustrated. So both sides are not good. But being able to have a relationship, and we talk about it, you want friends, you need to be a friend. If you want friends, you need to be a friend. People go, oh, nobody reaches out to me. Do you reach out to anybody? Come on, call a spade a shovel. Let's go. We need to own this shit. Are we being who we want others to be to us? And if we're not, number one, shame on us. But number two, nope. The good news is we have time to change it. We have time. We can make the decision right now. Again, last week, right? 3 seconds of courage. Make the decision. I'm going to be the friend that people want, that I want people to be to me. And whether they're that way to me or not, I'm still going to be the friend I want them to be, because that's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do, regardless of whether I get it back or not, regardless whether anybody else is. But I'm going to focus on being the right person. I'm going to focus on being a good friend. I'm going to focus on the relationships in my life. How do you get to know someone better? You have to spend time. You got to talk. You got to show up in their life. They have to know you give a shit about them. How does that happen? Connection. So maintain strong social connections by prioritizing friendships, relationships. Is the first one. Number two, learn to show and express our emotions in a positive way, so that we can seek, and that's on the one side, right? Learn to to show and express our emotions in a positive way. And that doesn't mean we're joy boys, right? It doesn't mean we're running around going, it's okay, terrible things have happened. I fell down the stairs this morning. I'm 55, and I haven't been well. So I was a little bit weak. I lost my balance and fell down the stairs. Okay, right? But is that a good thing? No, it wasn't. But to be able to express that emotion, hey, it hurt. Probably it bruised my ego, I think, more than it bruised my body, but it hurt. But we need to learn how to express, hey, it doesn't mean it was good. When I say it in a positive way, I just mean we're looking at it, expressing it at all is positive. Being able to be in touch with the emotion is a positive. And then we need to seek help when we need it by letting others know we're struggling. People go, no one's reached out. Have you told anybody? Oh yeah, right. No, I've been playing it really close to the vest. I haven't told anybody. Well, then how the hell do you expect them to know? They're not clairvoyant. They're not going to just know. We need to be, and it's not that we're airing our dirty laundry all over the place and we're telling everybody all our foibles and our that's not what I mean. But we need to be able to reach out to some people that we trust, that we know love us, that we know we're safe in that zone without the judgment, and we need to be able to reach out to them and go, hey, I'm struggling. Hey, I'm having a hard day. Can you help me? Can you sit and listen? Can you talk me through this a little bit? Can you let me sort some stuff out? But we need the tools to do that. Again, you need a coach or a mentor, somebody that can teach you how to do that. I can teach you how to do that. I'm one of lots of people that can teach you how to do that. But if you need help with it, reach out. Gord, I need help. Can you teach me how to do this? We'll put you into one of the groups. Pay attention to your family and friends. And if worried about someone, start the conversation. Ask the hard questions and really listen to what's being shared, because they may not be able to articulate what the problem is. So really pay attention. And some of that takes EQ, right? Some of that needs that emotional quotient to be able to have empathy or sympathy for the situation. Part of that is having the right tools to be able to make that happen. Having the right tools to know, hey, you know what, I can do this or I can do that. Strategies to be able to help them open up and make them comfortable. But listen very closely. Let them know you're there for them. A lot of times we get stuck. We don't go to funerals. We don't go to viewings. Why? Because we don't know what to say. There's nothing you can say that's going to make them feel better. There just isn't. There's no way, unless you can bring the person back, there's no way that they're going to feel good. There's nothing you can say that can, what the point of going to a funeral or a viewing is to be there for them so that they can see, hey, I'm not by myself. Just the action of showing up is the encouragement. Let them know you're there for them. Intentionally learn the skills, tools, strategies that we can use to assist ourselves for ourselves so that we can figure it out on our own for ourselves, and then be able to effectively assist and be there for others around us. Know the flags and signs to watch for. And I've said, hey, sign up for my next cohort to equip yourself. Reach out. Gord, I need help. I need to figure out how to equip myself so that I can help myself, or that I can help my husband or my brother or my uncle or my dad or my sons or what. Reach out. Reach out. The last one I've got on here is get involved. Get involved. You need to know. We go, I don't know. You watch all these kids and some of the mass shooters that I had no idea. The parents are, oh, he's so quiet. I had no idea. I didn't know what was going on in his bedroom or her bedroom. Get involved. We need to understand what's happening around us. Who are the people around us? Are they okay? Are they struggling? There's so many people struggling, and they're struggling in silence because they don't want to open their mouth, because they're not sure they can. They don't want that embarrassment or the shame or the judgment. Frick, it's not stigma. Stop being judgmental pricks. Come on. But be aware. Understand what's happening around us. Have the hard conversations. There's so many. And I got to take another quick break. I came across gobs and gobs and gobs of resources, like unbelievable amounts of resources. The regular ones, calling 911, talk, text TALK talk to 741-741 to communicate with the trained crisis counselor. Stay until the professional help arrives. Try to remove weapons, meds, other potentially harmful objects. Resources: National Suicide Prevention Hotline, Crisis Text Line, Veterans Crisis Line. The Trevor Project is LGBTQ, usually youth. SAMHSA's National Helpline is a substance abuse for substance abuse. RAINN, RAINN, is the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Online stuff: IMA Live is volunteers trained. 7 Cups of Tea are trained listeners and therapists. ADAA, Anxiety and Depression Association of America. A company, an organization called BetterHelp, that's licensed therapists. This is all online. You don't even have to out yourself. The word SAFE, SAFE, alternatives. It's an organization, SAFE. Self-injury behavior, people that self-harm. Can do that. For parents and teens and children, Thrive app, THRIV as Victoria, E app. It's an app called Thrive. Society for Prevention of Teen Suicide, the JED Foundation, JED. Facets for Families Guide, Facts for Families Guide, sorry. KELTY, KELTY, Mental Health Resource Center, and Hope for the Day. There's gobs and gobs of resources. Reach out to somebody. I need to take a break, partly to breathe. I'm going to have my tea. Don't forget to pause and breathe. You're with Gordon D Melville, the long-bearded guy on Inspired Choices Network. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
How much of our daily success relies on our mindset? Anything we are unaware of can still impact our lives. When dealing with our daily emotions that we all face, there can be positive outcomes we control. Why is the word stigma such a BS misnomer? Is living abundantly really possible for all of us, no matter where we find ourselves today? Join the long-bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville. The Chief Catalyst Strategist Guide at Jewel International invites you to an enlightening, sometimes shocking discussion. He will be challenging you to explore your own answers to these questions and so many more. This will lead you towards living an abundant, successful life no matter how you define it. Gordon D. Melville is live Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Long-Bearded Guy with Gordon D. Melville. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to thelongbeardedguy@gmail.com. Now back to the program.
Hey everybody, welcome back. All right, as we wrap up here, and this time today was really quick. It always is, but really, really fast today. I want to just the call to action I want to give and talk about today. We need to be able to do something. 3 seconds of courage. Make the decision and go. Make the decision and act right on the spot, so there isn't time to forget, or there isn't time to wonder, what should I do? What should I not do? We don't have to worry about that. Take the 3 seconds and go. What I want you to, the call to action this week is to commit to reaching out to 5 family and friends with a live call, not just a text or an email. Call them. You don't get them, leave a message that says, hey, can you call me back? Let them know it's important. But commit to do that with 5 family or friends this week. Check in. Be the friend you want others to be for you. Whether that's, you can send, and I'm not excluding, texts and emails. But when was the last time you got actual mail outside of bills or advertisements in the mail? When was the last time you got an actual letter or a note or a card from somebody? That'll stick out in somebody's mail. Trust me, that'll make an impact. snail mail, anonymous cards. We did a thing with the family where that I found from another organization in Australia, that we wrote a letter that said, this is for you, without anybody in mind, not somebody specific in mind, that just said, you know what, I don't know what you're going through today, and I don't know if we all have struggles, we all have demons, we all have monsters we're fighting with, we all have challenges, we all have stuff going on, but you know what, you matter, you're seen, you're heard, the world needs you. Writing some kind of a letter, and then put it in an envelope, and then put just on the outside, it says, yes, this is for you. And then go and put it someplace. It doesn't matter where. Put it on a park bench. Put it in the grocery store. Put it at Costco. Put it at Walmart. Stick it in between two boxes of cereal. Put it in places where you know there's going to be people. And then just walk away. It's weird how Papa will connect it. And if you don't know, I call Papa God Papa because of my relationship with him. But he will look after that. And somebody will pull that out and look at it and go, oh, and maybe it hits the right person that needed to hear that today, that needs to hear they're important, that needs to hear, you know what, you're not by yourself. There's help available to you. There's help available. So call to action. And if you do it, if you're going to commit to that, jump in the chat, email me. thelongbeardedguy@gmail.com. Gord, I'm taking your call to action today, the commitment to reach out to 5 people. I'm going to do that this week. I'm going to do that. And today's Friday, so it only leaves a day or two. But doing that every week, five people a week, every week, have conversation with 5 people every week, different people, on purpose. Maybe someone you haven't talked to in a while that needs to hear, needs to be encouraged. You don't know what's going on in their life. Unless you're living with them, and even then, probably not. We don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Find out. But text me, email me, and let me know, hey, Gord, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to reach out and pay attention to the people in my life. I'm going to be the friend I want people to be to me, regardless of what happens, and regardless what that means, regardless whether I get it back or not. It's not about what I get back. It's about doing the right thing because it's the right thing, and knowing I'm being true to who I am as a human being. I hope that helps. I know it's heavy, but I hope that helps. It's awareness, it's understanding and knowing. So as we think about next week, Friday the 16th, next week we're going to, the episode title is called Talk, It's Not Weak to Speak. Talk, It's Not Weak to Speak. We're going to, next Friday at noon, bring your journal, bring a friend, bring the men in your life. Please forward this. Please like it, love it, share it, subscribe. Please share this episode with the men in your life and the people in your life that need to hear this. Please. I'll beg if I have to. If that saves lives, I'll absolutely beg. I have no problem with that. My heart is just overflowing with a desire. It burns in my belly to help as many men as I can, but as many people as I can. But I specialize in entrepreneurial men and pro athletes. If you know some, send them to me. If we all know men, entrepreneurial or not, send them to me. Invite them to show up for these. Please, please, please. The mission is improving the lives in a positive way of 10 million men by increasing their EQ. If you want to help with that, reach out to me. There's sponsorship opportunity. There's lots of ways to help. There's other things we can do that we can help. That if you want to do that, plug in with it. Please, I beg you to do that. Again, thelongbeardedguy@gmail.com. Make it another great week. Know that I love you. Massive big hugs. This week, live abundantly and with intention as you make those 5 calls. We'll see you next week. Know that I love you and you're not by yourself. Live abundantly and with intention.
Thank you for tuning into the Long Bearded Guy Show. You are appreciated and loved. Gordon D. Melville returns Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on the InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, make it another great week, leading with love, powerfully designing, crafting, and living out your positively impactful legacy life you were created for. Big hugs!